It's usually us who always late.
Yeah, it's a little busy
Okay.
on campus right now with like planning things. So a little late today.
Okay.
Okay, come.
Want to start or shall I? Okay. Is everyone here?
Okay, everyone is already here. I'm here.
All right. So
Okay.
our topic for today, or tonight rather, where we are.
By the way, Rachel,
Yes.
by
Yes.
the way, could you please introduce yourself first to us so we know how to call you and your friends?
Sure. So I'm Rachel. You can call me Rachel. That's fine.
I'm
Okay.
Jacob. I'm Jacob. You can call me Jacob.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay. What is the topic for today, Rachel? Jacob?
So the topic for today is things around the house, and
Okay.
that might seem very simplistic, but because it is. So to start off, we will start with talking about some of the rooms that are in a house, and then we'll move into kind of like what's in those rooms. And I suppose to start would be with the attic and the basement. And if you've ever been in a house and you might have seen an upstairs or a downstairs storage area, perhaps, which is one of the uses of a attic or a basement, then you were actually in an attic or a basement without realizing it. So pretty much what you would, apart from storage, you would, and maybe more so with a basement, you might make it into a play area. So you could, depending on how big it is, you might be playing games or so games like air hockey, if anyone knows what air hockey is. Video games. I'm sure some of you guys have seen people play video games or played video games yourselves.
So what Jacob is trying to say is that particularly with basements, you have two kinds of basements depending on the house. Some houses have unfinished basements, which means that it's not carpeted, it's not
kind of bare,
suitable to live in, so it's used more so for storage. And then you have a lot of houses that have finished basements, which means it's carpeted. You can live down there. My room at home is in the basement, but if we wanted to, we could make the room across from me an entertainment center. So with couches and a TV and like a pool table or other games like Jacob was explaining.
So yeah, so that's like, so those are some of the basements, and Rachel actually was able to explain what a basement is very well, partly because he not only has a basement at her house, which I don't have in the house that I actually live in most of the time, most of the year when I'm not here at school, I don't actually have a basement to go into. Whereas Rachel, she actually does have a basement.
I live in it.
she lives in her basement. Other houses, it's not quite like that. Other houses, the basement might have other things in it, such as Rachel was explaining, such as a TV. Some basements that I have been in and seen have little rooms where things can be stored. TV amongst other things, as Rachel explained. Some have been partly made into like an art studio. Like sometimes some people, they might make part of the basement an art studio so they can do painting, drawing, whatever your artistic expression is. Now, on the flip side, an attic, while a basement is the bottom of the house, basement might be the bottom foundation, bottom of the house, below ground. The attic is the same thing, just above ground or above everything. And attics, as I have come to understand it or have seen, attics are primarily only used for storage. And you might put just about anything into this. So my grandparents have an attic where all of their children's families can have put all their stuff. So anything from boxes of old stuff that doesn't get used. Skis is another thing. Skis are another item that I've seen in attics. Old paintings that have gotten lost, or not lost, but have been misplaced and just no one seems to put up anymore. And even items that people just collect over time, and after a while they don't seem to need or use anymore, so they just store it in an attic.
So the biggest difference between an attic and a basement is that a basement is underground.
Basements actually tend to be bigger.
The basement is underground, and the attic is the highest point in the house. So the attic's always on top, and then the place that you actually live in, and then the basement.
Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. You have an attic and a basement as two portions of your house, of a house, or things around a house. And then, of course, there's all sorts of stuff that go in that can be in a basement or an attic. Now, moving into the area in between, in the middle, what makes up the bulk of the house, one room, and I am very, very sure you all have been in this room before and know what goes on in this room. It's just that in the U.S., it might look different, and that is the kitchen. Okay, the kitchen, as we all know, is where all the cooking goes on. Now, the way a kitchen looks might be, as a matter of fact, I've seen many kitchens. Every single kitchen I've ever been in looks very different from another one. But as we all know, the basic idea of a kitchen is that that's where you cook food. That's where you do a lot of you do a lot of cooking with food. This is the place where you put your food when you first buy it. Something I didn't actually write down is that in the kitchen as well, there's a refrigerator. And in the refrigerator, we all know this is where you put food for later, where you keep it so that way it doesn't go bad. Actually, yeah, that's kind of, yeah. So kitchen, for those of you who are not sure, or for those of you who may get confused, you may also hear the word dining room in conjunction with a kitchen. This is like, a dining room can really be multiple things.
I can explain why I wrote it.
Okay.
I wrote dining room under kitchen because, especially now in America, the style of the houses are that there isn't much of a difference between the kitchen and the dining room. Like, there's not a wall or a clear divider of the two in most houses. So in my house, you have the kitchen, but the dining room is right next to it. There's not a wall that separates them. It's like a very open space. You cook in the kitchen, you eat in the dining room.
So to go off that, that's one of the big things to remember is, like, in a kitchen, that's where you're cooking. In a dining room, that's where you're eating. Now, in some place, in apartments,
You can eat at the kitchen.
Yeah.
Harris.
Actually. But in apartment buildings, or at least in my apartment building, it's slightly weird because I have a kitchen table where I've eaten most of the meals in my life, which is right next to the kitchen, and at the same time, I actually have what we call a dining room / living room. And this is where things can get a little confusing because this means I have a dining room table, a kitchen table where I've eaten most of my life, and a kitchen, which are all actually right next to each other. So it's kind of like a large L shaped almost.
My kitchen, dining room, and living room is also in an L.
It's
Big
also
L shape.
they all happen to be right next to each other.
You cook, you eat, you sit.
You cook, you eat, you sit. Exactly.
Do you know the difference between an apartment and a house?
Actually, yeah, that's another distinction.
Because we've been saying that a lot.
Anyone?
Yes, no.
Yeah, Rachel, could you repeat your question, please? Okay.
Do you know the difference between an apartment and a house?
Apartment and a house.
Because
A house belongs to somebody, maybe, or apartment is so many people living there. Is it correct?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you are right. You are right. An apartment is, well, there might be one apartment in a building, so you are right to think that there are a lot of people living together. And a house is only one family, but they have a larger area that they're actually living in or on.
Mm-hmm.
So you are right to think the difference between a house and an apartment is that.
So I live in a house, and the whole building is ours. Like my family, we are the only family that lives in that entire building. Jacob lives in an apartment, which is a much bigger building, but that's because in that building are many different families.
Yeah, so like the actual surface area, or the actual amount of space that my family has compared to Rachel's is vastly small. I have a vastly smaller amount of space that my family can use within our apartment building, whereas Rachel has probably a front yard and a backyard
And the driveway.
and a driveway. I mean, as much as I like to think I have a driveway, it's not really my driveway, it's the building's. But Rachel has a driveway, front yard, backyard, and probably even the proverbial white picket fence.
No, and that whether you live in a house or an apartment also depends on where you live in the United States. So I live in a state called Connecticut where there's not nearly as many people as New York City.
Yeah.
So you'll find a lot of houses where I live, but you'll find a lot of apartments where Jacob lives, just based on how many people live in that place.
Yeah, so like, I mean, so me and Rachel we both go to school here in Geneva. Geneva is actually more like Geneva, New York. It's more like Connecticut, where there's a lot of houses. As a matter of fact, here where we go to school, there's not only a lot of houses, there's actually fewer houses because there's much more land available.
Yeah.
There's actually so much land available that a lot of it is farmland. So the number of houses here compared to like Connecticut where Rachel lives is much few. I would say is much fewer, and compared to where I live is a lot fewer, but also a lot different.
Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about the difference between an apartment, a house, kitchens and dining rooms. To add another element to this conversation, there's then also the living room. Now, the living room, in my opinion, can actually be any room that isn't a kitchen or a dining room and a bedroom, in my opinion, because
What other room would it be?
well, that's why I'm saying a living room could be any room that's not a bedroom, kitchen, or dining room.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because almost any room you can you can put a TV, a couch, sounds, speakers, what have you, and a few other things, and you have a living room, or you have a den, as I like to call it sometimes.
But you don't need a TV for it to be a living room.
That is entirely true. You don't need,
It's where the couches are. The living room is where guests come and you all sit like in an intimate space where you can talk and enjoy. When you're in the dining room, you're at the dining room table because that's where you're eating. But the living room, in my house at least, you can't eat there. Not with my mom. You can't eat on the couch at all. You can have tea or something if we have guests, but you don't eat in the living room in my house. So if you eat in the dining room and now you want to relax and just talk with your family or the guests, then everyone kind of shifts to the living room and we talk, and then maybe we'll watch a movie or something.
By contrast to what Rachel just said, like in my house, or my apartment, excuse me, there, I happen to have two sort of living rooms. One has no TV, the other does. One I like to call a den, the other is actually a living room. I just like to think of them in the same sense because they literally are the same in my mind. Because people will sit around, talk to each other. And the reason I said in contrast to what Rachel said is because Rachel said that you can't, in her house, you can't eat in her living room. In my house, my family were a little more relaxed about eating in a living room because we'll have like appetizers before we have dinner, and we might eat those appetizers in the den or the living room, depending on how many people we have. And so the living room tends to also be a place where a large number of people will gather for if you're having a large dinner party. As Rachel said, the living room is a place where people will talk and eventually, in some cases, watch a movie as well. That may depend on how many people are actually in the room at any given time.
Yeah, that's true. Everything, like all rules of a house or apartment are able to change depending on how many people are there. So when family members come for Thanksgiving and everyone can't sit at the dining room table, then they can eat in the living room. But on a day-to-day basis, you're not supposed to eat in the living room.
Let's see. So we've covered an attic, a basement, a kitchen, dining room, a living room / den, depending on how you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess now we might as well talk about a bedroom, even though we all know what a bedroom is.
It's where you sleep.
Yeah, it's where you sleep. Although everyone's bedroom kind of is different. So does anyone have anything they want to share that they have that they think is very special from their bedroom, apart from a bed? Desk. Does anyone have anything they want to share?
I don't know what desk in my room.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay. Me first. I have one bedroom. Oh, sorry. I have a bed, blanket, pillow, scissor, wardrobe, cupboard or wardrobe.
Anything particularly special that you particularly like?
Yeah. And I have TV too on my bedroom. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually.
You have a TV in your room?
There
Yeah.
I know.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, same here. I don't have me nor Rachel have a TV in our
I don't have a
bedrooms.
TV in my bedroom.
Partly because my parents are afraid that I'd never come out of my room.
Yeah, before I go to
No, it's that we don't have cable.
Oh,
So it would have to
okay.
be anyway, and like, where's money for that?
True. Mine is like, oh, he'll become a hermit. So, let's see. Anything special in your bed? But anything that you think is really special from your bedroom?
I have a walk-in closet.
Okay. I have a particularly comfy sitting chair.
If you say particularly one more time.
I have a very comfortable sitting chair.
Touch.
But
I think we've pretty much covered
surprisingly, we've covered everything in the goddamn house.
all of the ground rules for a house. So now we'll take any questions. We also have a visitor today.
Okay.
This is Charmaine. She wanted to see what we do.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
I'm Charmaine. You say where I'm from?
Charmaine, where are you from?
I'm from Malaysia.
Oh, hi, Malaysia.
Melayu.
I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi. Okay. Shelly, what major did you take in Kabupaten University colleges? Are
Sorry?
you?
What,
Yeah. Are you
Oh,
go to study there?
yeah. I'm studying biochemistry. Yeah, so biokimia.
Okay. Okay, friends. Is there anyone who want to ask Charlie? Linda, Fikri,
Any questions?
any questions?
We're still here too if you want to ask any questions to any of us.
Yeah, all questions are open.
Okay, Fikri. Irfan,
Yes.
would you like to ask some questions to Charlene?
Or anyone else?
No.
Okay.
And it
Our
doesn't have
topic
to be about a house. You can ask any questions about college, houses,
Hello.
anything
Hello.
in the US.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. I am Irfan.
Hi, Irfan.
Okay. I am the chemistry student too in the Universitas Indonesia.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. I wanna give a question for you.
Yeah.
How about the curriculum in your department?
Yeah. The curriculum. Sorry.
Are you Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Education, Chemistry Education or Chemistry? I mean,
yes. I thought I heard the word. I thought I heard the word.
Yeah.
Can you say that one more time?
Can you repeat the question, Irfan?
yes,
Are you asking about the curriculum?
yes. Your study is by coursework or by research?
Study is what? Sorry.
Study by coursework or research?
Oh, I'm studying research.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do.
Department.
So I work a lot in the lab, in the research lab, in chemistry. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Does everyone understand the difference between a house and an apartment?
Yes, I do.
Yes?
Based on Jacob's explanations, that the difference from house and apartment is building, right? The building that a house is where a family lives, just one family, and apartment is where more family is live in that building, and the size is bigger than a house. Is it right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Okay, guys. Is there anyone who want to ask something? And
What do you
Doesn't have
do
to be a
with your
question about that.
family?
I think Ender's asking.
okay. Can we continue our lessons to bedroom maybe? Just bedroom we already know. And is there any questions? And would you like to ask something before we continue our lessons?
I think no.
Okay, Fikri.
Yes.
Fikri, understand? Yeah, but the difference between house and apartment.
Yes.
Okay, is there any questions?
No.
Okay, Miss Ega.
Okay. I want a question.
Okay, please, Miss Enda.
What do you do with the family? With the family while spending holiday at home? What do you do? While spending holiday at home with your family. What do you do?
Okay, your activity. When you are going back to your family, what is your activity? Homeland.
One more time?
And who's the question for?
And would you like to whom? Your question is to Charlene, Rachel, or Jacob?
Jacob.
Okay, Jacob, you first. What did you do when you are going back to your home during your holiday time?
So when I go home, thank you. So when I go home, usually my time is split between actually being at home, spending my time being at home in New York, in New York City, and at the same time also traveling to see my grandparents in Florida, and spending time with my family, with my going skiing with my parents and my sister in Colorado. So on my holiday breaks or the longer breaks, that is, my time is usually split between those three places, between New York, Florida, and Colorado.
Wow. Awesome.
And so yeah, that's pretty much what my breaks. Some of my breaks are like. Other times, like shorter breaks, it's just being at home in New York City, and other times it's just going home and then getting on another airplane a day or two later and going to Colorado to go ski. So that's what my breaks usually are like.
When I go home for the holidays, my family, we all try to get together in one place. So my aunt and my cousins, they either come to my house or we go to their house, because my mother, she's from Jamaica. So we have very few family members in America, and we try to get together for the holidays. Sometimes some family members from Jamaica will fly to America for Christmas. So the Christmas that just passed, my aunt, she flew from Jamaica and spent the holidays with us. I think that's it. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay, I think enough.
But Charlene?
What happened?
Charlene's still there. Okay. Would you like to share something with us?
Yeah, like what I do during the holidays. During the holidays, if I get to go home to Malaysia, I usually go home. But if not, I'll stay here. And if I stay here, I usually watch Korean drama. I watch TV. I sleep a lot. That's what I do for my holiday. Yeah, I don't do that. Yeah.
You are watching TV a lot?
Yeah, all the time. It's de-stress.
Okay, what is your favorite channel or movie?
Oh, my favorite movie? I usually watch just Korean dramas. That's what I watch, the drama. Yeah.
Same with us.
Yeah?
Yeah, same with us. When
I
we
watch
are not
Korean dramas too.
Oh, yeah.
I might be the only one who doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Watch.
Over
I
winter
believe
break, I
that.
watched Strong Bang Soon. It's so good.
It's really good.
Rachel, do you like drama?
Yes, I watch Korean dramas too. And over winter break, I had my sister and my mom watch a Korean drama with me.
Okay, what is your favorite place to see your drama, your TV? For example, it is in your bedroom or in your living room or in out the movie. But where is your favorite places to see those drama?
I like the living room because that's where the biggest TV is. But sometimes my family will fight over the TV.
Well, is it
Mhm.
over the remote?
Over the TV.
Wow.
Because we don't have cable, so everything that we watch is on Netflix or the internet, and the TV is the biggest way to see it. But if too many people are fighting over it, then I'll just watch it on my laptop.
Okay, very good choice.
To go off of that, because the biggest TV is in the living room, that's my favorite place to watch anything I watch is in my living room.
I think the subtitles are good.
Oh, yeah. Jacob, what is your favorite movie?
Oh God. See, no, that's the problem. I have quite a few that I really do like. Okay, you know what? I'll give you a few movies that I have seen that are my favorites. The Godfather is one. I don't know if they're gonna know. The Terminator is another one I really like. All of the Back to the Future movies. I don't know if any of you have seen any of the Lord of the Rings, but those are other movies that I've seen that I really like. Lastly, one that in my opinion is probably the best movie of all time is The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, so you are really like action movies or maybe?
Yeah, a lot of these are action movies. But I have seen many movies that aren't not all of them are action. Some are like maybe mystery movies or suspense. Quite a few I've seen are sports movies. But yes, a lot of the movies that I really like are action. Action movies.
How about horror movie? Do you like horror movie? You like?
No, I don't like
You like-
Horror. I don't think any. Rachel, do you like horror movies?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody here likes horror movies. I'm not a huge fan of them either.
I don't like horror movies.
Yes,
I like comedy.
I don't like.
Watching stand-up comedy is also something I really like
Yeah,
to watch.
I like comedy.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
I like
stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I also like
Uh,
songs in them. Musicals.
in our custom, like in East, like maybe Malaysia too have a lot of horror movie. Is there some kind of movie that are really really scary? I want to know from Malaysia.
From Malaysia, horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to know.
From Malaysia.
It's very cute.
Not really, but macam cerita Pontianak would be like a horror movie, like those scary ghosts.
Scary woman, right?
Yeah, very scary.
Oh yeah. Okay, guys, do you want to share your favorite movie? Maybe horror or maybe science fiction or anything? Action? Fikri,
Yes,
what is your favorite movie?
cartoon
Yeah, cartoon.
and then Hollywood movie.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
You know?
Yeah.
Hollywood. Yes, Sarukan.
Hollywood.
Sarukan.
Movies are good.
Sarukan, right?
Yes. Alright.
Really know any Bruce Lee movies? No.
Okay,
Hello?
what else? What else?
I don't know.
Because I mean, I've seen like there have been some Jackie Chan movies that have come out recently.
Oh,
I would-
Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Jackie Chan. Yeah.
have any of you guys seen? Okay, so have any of you guys seen any of the Rush Hour movies?
I love Rush Hour.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Rush Hour movie.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Okay. So you guys have all seen Jackie Chan in the Rush Hour movies, and how he's made a complete fool of himself.
Yeah, I like Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan's really good.
Yeah.
He's the
Good
voice of
movie.
Kung Fu Panda.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
OTW Jakarta.
Huh?
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, Miss Aida, would you like to share your favorite movie?
Yeah. I like horror movie.
Horror movie?
Oh,
Okay.
The serial Korea.
Oh,
Lee Min Ho.
nice.
Lee Min Ho.
Oh no!
Oh my god. Yes.
Like that history movie or like the Colossal or Kingdom movie Korea.
Oh, yeah. She's a big fan of Korean drama.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Lee Min Ho.
Okay. I want to know about your horror movie favorite, Miss Ega. What is your horror movie?
It is Insidious and Dawn.
Insidious.
Yeah.
Oh. So scary.
Yeah.
Anyone? Have any of you guys seen the Saw movies?
What?
Have you guys heard of the Saw movies? Like Saw, like SAW?
No, never. What kind of movie is that?
Those,
They're horror movies.
except they are.
Oh, yeah, horror movies.
They take horror movies to a whole new level.
They're
So-
really bad. They're really bad. It's there are a lot of them. 6, maybe.
There might
even
be 8.
7, 8 movies. They're all named Saw, and it's this guy in a mask that
It's a weird.
he he takes people, he's like kidnaps them, and has them play games to get out, but they never get out.
He ends up killing.
They always do.
Oh,
And it's really,
yeah.
really bloody and messy and creepy.
Oh, it's really, really scary for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there
you-
any mutilation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any? Yeah, I know. I don't like that.
I don't like them either.
Yeah, I've never seen them, so I'm not a huge fan.
Okay. Irfan. Irfan. Are you still there?
Yes, Irfan.
Irfan. Okay, okay. Yeah, Irfan, do you have
Yes.
any favorite movie that you want to share with us?
Of course. I love horror movie like Annabelle, Insidious, or science movie. Science movie. Interstellar. Do you know?
Interstellar?
Oh yeah,
Science movie, Interstellar.
yeah.
It is
Science
the
fiction. Science fiction.
Irfan? Okay, okay. What else? You really like on the movie?
Us.
Fantasy movie. Fantasy movie.
Fantasy movie. What kind of fantasy movie?
Like
The title.
Thor. Do you know Thor?
Superhero.
What? Irfan? Irfan?
Yes.
I don't hear it clearly. Can you repeat it, please? What is the title? Irfan?
Hello.
Okay. Yeah. Where are you? Okay, guys. Maybe you want to ask something to all of us.
Yes. Okay, I have question in other topic. Can I?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm interested about the higher education in the US.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, can you tell me about the difference between public university and private university?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
We're private. So, So you want to know the difference between a private and a public university?
Yes.
Okay. I will give this explanation in the best possible terms. So a private institution like HWS is usually a school that is not, they are not funded, or well, they don't get their money from the state. And
because they don't get their money from the state, they don't have to
do
all the requirements of the state.
Yeah, because they don't get the money there, because they don't get the money that they use from the state, they then, a lot of the money that they do have, it's all coming from people, from like alumni and whatnot, but they don't have to follow all the regulations that the state requires of them. And so typically these are schools that are a lot smaller on a general basis. Whereas a public institution, a public university, is one that is getting a lot of the money that they use from the state, and also typically these are schools. What was that?
Do you mean funded by government?
Yes.
Yeah, yep. They're getting a lot of their money from the state government, and typically these are schools that are a lot larger. So they're schools that have they could have upwards of 40,000 students. Yeah, and these are schools that also typically have the name of the state in their name. So like University of Washington, Kansas University, New York University. Actually, no, you mean like NYU?
No.
Or, well, on that, yeah, in that regard. And like Wisconsin, like a school that's like has the name like University of Wisconsin or University of Michigan. Those are all public universities.
Okay, so money aside, with public universities, like Jacob said, they tend to be a lot bigger. They have 40,000 students. Here at HWS, we only have 2,000 students. We're a very, very small private school. And to get into college, we take, in high school, we take tests like the SAT or the ACT, and based on which college you apply to, they can decide what grade you need to get into that college. So public schools, maybe they'll take like, 1,800 for the SAT. Where at a public university where you get a lower score on the SAT, then you could still get in. But at a private university, it's harder. It's more competitive. It's more difficult to get accepted because it's such a small school.
Something else that kind of adds on to what Rachel was just talking about also is for the public universities, one of the reasons, like even though they're getting a lot of the money that they have from the state government, one of the reasons why it is so much why there's so many students, or there tends to be a lot of students, is because if you live in the same state as that public university, it costs a lot less money to go there.
In-state, out-of-state.
The in-state, out-of-state for some of these schools is absurd.
Ridiculous.
It's absurd, like close to 20,000 or more, or even more, way more. But so yeah, like that's another reason why there's a lot of kids. Yeah, it costs a lot less for kids from that state to go to that school, whereas like somebody from another state has to pay a lot more. So.
Okay. Okay, I have
Did
a
that
question.
answer your question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, what is different about university, college, or institute like MIT, Harvard University, or Hamilton College? What is the difference?
So what's the difference between the word, like what's the difference between a place being called a university?
University, institute, and college.
It's different.
So a university,
Or they are the same or not?
so
They're not the same.
as like a university and a college? Yeah, they're not the same. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
he
not the
asked.
same.
So I
No,
said
I know.
they're not the same.
So they're not, those two things are not the same. A university will have individual colleges within it. So like you might have, at a university, you might have a college for one subject. Like there might be a whole, like at a larger university, there might be a whole college devoted just to science students.
Yeah.
Okay.
At a college, that's it. It's really just that. Like it's just the one college, and then there's a whole bunch of departments at that one school, college. So that's as I understand it. That's the basic difference as to me at least. I mean, you guys?
Yeah, the university has the potential to, they have like many different things there, while a college is like more closed into something. Like it's pinpointed.
Yeah,
It's just
like
different
at,
terms.
Does that
yeah,
make
at any of
sense?
like at University of Michigan, there's undergrad and grad. One of the reasons why their population is so large is because they have both grad and undergrad.
Did that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any other questions about college?
Oh, so since we were talking about houses and apartments, at college we live in dorms or dormitories, which are kind of like apartments, but not really because it's full of bedrooms. Like we don't have.
That's the problem about a
Yeah.
dorm. A dorm doesn't even fit the description of a house, nor does it fit the description of an
That's
apartment.
because it's a dorm.
Yeah.
We live in dormitories, but if you decide to live off campus, then you can live in an apartment or you could live in a house. But college has the extra thing of dormitories.
We may also want to.
By the way, Rachel.
Yeah.
I want to ask about how many people are there in one room?
For a dorm?
Yeah, in your dorm.
So normally you have 2 people in one room. Sometimes if you're lucky, like me, then you have your own room. I have my own room in my dorm.
Oh, very good.
But most times there are 2. If the room is really, really big, then you'll have 3, but it's not very common.
Like, yeah, Maddie has.
Is the bathroom is inside the dorm or it's outside the bathroom?
So dorms are weird where every room is a bedroom.
Yeah, and there's like a
a common area. So there's by floor there are like different levels to the dorm, but on every floor there is a hall full of bedrooms. So the dorm is where you sleep. Then you have bathrooms, and you have our living room in a dorm, we call it common area because anyone can go there. And then you have a kitchen, but it only has a fridge, stove, microwave, and sink. Like it's not the same as
On JPR,
when you're home.
In JPR, we only had like a sink. We didn't even have a microwave. We didn't even.
Well, we had one downstairs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We had. Yeah,
But the thing is, there's not a kitchen on every floor. There's just one kitchen in the building.
Okay, so the bathroom is not inside the room, right? It's outside.
Usually it's outside, and then so sometimes you have like 20 people share one bathroom for the girls and one bathroom for the guys. And then sometimes when someone is showering, you cannot shower, you have to wait because everyone is sharing the same bathroom.
But that also depends on the dorm. My dorm, I live in a dorm called Comstock, and in that dorm alone, my bedroom is connected to the bathroom, but that bathroom is connected to another bedroom. So I share that bathroom with 2 other people instead of 20.
Yeah. For me, I share it with 20. But for her, I share it with 2.
Rachel, you are lucky.
I am very lucky.
She is lucky.
Yes, Rachel is by far the luckiest here. I live in a dorm where we're separated by there's the one dorm, but each dorm is kind of separated into these tiny little blocks. And so I share my bathroom with however many guys are living in the one block that I live in as well. So in my block, it's like, no, there's 4 on the second floor, 3 up top, and then 4 down below. There's 3 or 4 down below. But yeah, so I share. So kind of like Charmaine, I share my bathroom with like 14 other guys, 15 other guys, which is not. Which in some days it can be bad, and other times like nobody's there.
I believe that.
But yeah, Rachel's by far the luckiest of all 3 of us.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask another. Are you allowed to have your own fridge, or it should be put in kitchen?
You can have your own fridge in your room. If it's a little one, I have a little fridge in my room. You can do that.
I also have a small one too. So.
Yeah. So it's up to you. You can leave your things in the fridge in the kitchen, or you can have your own little fridge that you bring with you.
Okay. I want to ask about the kitchens. Is there anyone who usually use the kitchen, like cook your own meal?
Yep. So there are a lot of people in the dorm that uses the kitchen to cook. There are just rules like cleaning up after you cook because everyone uses the same space. And we're really good on not eating other people's food because we put our names on it. So we put our names on the stuff that we put in the fridge in the kitchen, and then like no one eats food that isn't theirs, and we clean up after ourselves to make sure that the kitchen's always clean for whoever wants to use it.
There's always the occasion of spilling it.
I wonder, have you?
Huh?
I wonder, have you ever lost your food on the fridge?
Me, no. I've never lost my food in the fridge. I think the biggest or easiest thing to lose are juice because people get thirsty and they go, "Oh, I'll just take a little."
There are a few other there is one other thing in a fridge that can be gone very quickly. I won't say it because it's not exactly appropriate for our conversation right now. I would.
Exactly. So don't bring that up.
Yeah, but no, even in your own fridge.
Oh, that's messed up.
You do realize in your own fridge sometimes when you have roommates in the
Nope. My friends respect me.
No, first year that happened.
That's you should have said.
Okay, Jacob. Is there any kitchen in your dorm?
No. Simple answer. No.
No.
All there is rooms, bedrooms, and a bathroom. There is no kitchen.
Oh, bad. So bad. I won't ask anything. Okay, how about Charlene?
Sri,
Yes. Yes.
I have a question
Saga.
for Jacob and friends.
Okay, silakan. Okay, please.
Which room do you like your house when holiday?
Which room do I like the most when I'm home for the holidays?
Yes.
My bed. My bed. The beds in college are not good at all. I get home and I get in my bedroom and I sleep for a whole day.
I like the living room because that's where all my family is, and when I go home, everyone is together. So I like living room. We always watch badminton together on the TV. So that's how we spend time together.
My favorite. I'm gonna say it's. My favorite room is actually 2. It's my bedroom and the living room. Living room because the TV is there. Bedroom because of my sitting sitting chair, and that sitting chair is where I like to read books a lot. So that's one reason why I like my bedroom. Yeah.
And then, do you have any questions?
Enough mystery.
Any questions at all?
Okay. Isaac, do you still have any questions, student? Okay. This is my yes.
Okay. If there aren't any more questions, it's after 9, so we can end if there aren't any more questions.
Okay. Guys, do you still have any questions, or we should end these sessions?
No.
Okay. I think it's enough. Thank you very much for Jacob, Rachel, and Charlene for your shares today.
No problem. It was nice seeing all of you again.
Very nice.
Nice to meet you.